could build a one-click mortgage product with today's AI innovations. We have another AI agent that does loan processing. And then the last AI agent we have does lender interactions. It's pitching you and why you're a great home buyer. We treat them as interns that we don't trust their work completely, but they're good enough to give us the first draft. We came across this like aha moment, the stat, which that 50% of home buyers don't shop for a mortgage, even though it could save them tens of thousands of dollars.
Today I'm chatting with Arjun Lalwani, co-founded Approval AI after scaling Google Hotels and launching YouTube Shopping's commerce unit from zero to multi-million dollars in GMV. As a first-time homebuyer, he found that the mortgage process in the US was slow and not very transparent. So he decided to build America's first AI-powered mortgage platform to fix this problem. Approval AI turns single form into a swarm of agents that shop lenders, negotiate rates, and assemble your paperwork. The result, start to close in under 20 days, and thousands saved on a typical mortgage loan. Arjun joins us to show how AI can simplify complex consumer journeys and what product builders can learn from his startup story. Come check this thing out. Arjun, so tell me, what product is it that you're developing? What problem does it solve, and who is it for?
Yeah, awesome. David, first, thank you for having me. We're building Approval AI. Approval AI is an AI-powered mortgage marketplace. We automate the most painful parts of getting a mortgage. So that includes rate shopping, documentation, application, negotiation, all of that stuff. Typically, home buyers would spend tens of hours doing all this work themselves. And we automate all of this work, so we save them a lot of time. And in the process, we also save them a ton of money. We're primarily targeting first-time home buyers, but also people that are looking to get a refinance once the rates go down.
Got it. Sounds good. And so how did you end up here today? Like, how did you end up on this problem?
Yeah, of course. It's actually a personal pain point. So Helly, my co-founder, and I both actually had purchased condos over the last like few years. So I purchased a property in San Francisco. She got a condo in New York City, and we were just talking about how painful this whole like experience was. There were a ton of inefficiencies in the process. We just felt like this should have been a more modern experience, but it felt antiquated and stale in a way. And so we're like, okay, why is it this way? And why did I feel so dumb purchasing a property? Right? And I was like, maybe there's something wrong with the process and not with me. And I just felt like I wanted to be more educated while doing all of this stuff. So we decided to really dive deep. I got my New York real estate agent license. Helly got her mortgage broker license. We really studied this industry inside out. And one of the kind of insights we had was like, we could build a one-click mortgage product with today's AI innovations. And we thought that capital is in many ways a commodity. And you should get the best deal from a lender that can provide that versus just going for one that your real estate agent recommended, right? And so we just saw a lot of inefficiencies in the market and decided to do something about it.
Got it. Got it. So can you tell me a little bit about how the product actually works? Like, for example, if I'm looking to buy a house, like what would that look like?
Yeah, in terms of the product, you can go to our website, create an account, fill out the application, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. We like to call ourselves a little bit like Common App for mortgages, right? You come to us, you give us these details, fill out the application, and never have to talk to a banker, never have to visit the bank website. We scan like dozens of different lenders behind the scenes for you. We have all the conversations that you typically would have with the lender. Right? We negotiate the quotes, we get these quotes, and we make sure that you have the best deal. And we speak their language, right? Like they care about debt to income ratios. They care about different stuff that like you and I like don't probably understand. And so we translate your documents and your financial background into metrics that they can easily analyze and be like, yes, I can make this happen, or no, I cannot make this happen.
Got it. Got it. And so do you need like the social security numbers and all that stuff? Like, like, is there like, like how does that look like? Is the process
Yep.
secure? Like what?
Absolutely. So it's security is like definitely top of mind, right? Because you're putting a lot of like sensitive data onto our product, right? Like SSN, you're giving your like financial statements, tax returns, all of this stuff. So we have very encrypted ways of like handling, transmitting this data to our databases and we make sure that the AI is not exposed to a lot of this information until the very end, where you, David, are like, okay, I want to work with this banker at this bank. then we'll be like, okay, now we can release this information to that bank. But the AI doesn't get a lot of like insight into any of your like sensitive information until much, 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 much later in the process.
Got it. And so what does the AI do later in the process? Just curious.
So we have three different AI agents that run. One is a buyer's personal assistant. Okay, so this is David, you're new to buying homes. It will answer basic questions for you. It will educate you. It'll help you strategize what is the best path on what you should do, whether you should move some assets over, whether you should go with one lender or the other. It's very powerful because it has context about your financial profile and context about the mortgage market. We have another AI agent that does loan processing, right? It is verifying income documents. It's basically simulating underwriting, what like banks would do. And then the last AI agent we have does lender interactions, right? So it is going and talking to all these different like lenders. It's talking to Wells Fargo, Chase, Citi, right? Like different loan officers, credit unions. And it's asking them for rates, asking them for it's pitching you on why you're a great like home buyer based on some of the self-reported data you provided, and getting that information shared with like these lenders.
Got it. And so, I mean, that sounds like a pretty complex operation. Like how big is your team? Who's building all of this?
Yeah, so it's only two of us. My co-founder Helly is a genius when it comes to like all the engineering side of things and building the AI models that we have today. Um, and me.
Oh, nice. Who's doing the building and who's doing like the product development? Who's managing the product?
Helly, my co-founder, does is a genius. So she's doing a lot of engineering, a lot of product development. I'm involved in a bunch of more like on the relationship building side of things with banks and loan officers. But we both split like product work equally. We help customers equally. I do a lot more design as well. So we also have a bunch of AI agents we have built to help us operationally move much faster. We treat them as interns that we don't trust their work completely, but they're good enough to give us the first draft.
Got it. And so what are some of the examples of the AI agents that you guys use?
Yeah, yeah. So one example is we have design agents that help us create like assets that help us like come up with different like I would say improve our existing set of designs. We don't spend too much time relying on AI for design because we want a lot more human touch there. But we have customer support, so like anytime there are basic repetitive questions that home buyers ask, we have like an agent that handles that stuff. We have a marketing agent that spitballs a lot of ideas with us on like here's what you can write about, here's for the next newsletter content, and we'll like draft the first piece and then we like tweak it a lot. I also have product advisors as agents. So these are, one thing I missed once I started my own company was being at Google. I had a lot of like smart people telling me why my idea was wrong. And here I only have one person, and I just miss like having a lot of like different perspectives on a problem. So I have like a board of advisors that I have on ChatGPT, and I'm just like sharing like here's my idea, here's how I'm thinking about it. Tell me the risks and tell me where I'm wrong and how to refine the idea more. And then we have like a good like half an hour back and forth like way of refining my like thought a lot.
Do you feel like, I mean, like, like at least like for me, it feels like AI can kind of get you 80% there. Like, how do you figure out like which advice to trust AI with and which idea is just, like where you need like a human touch and an expertise?
Yeah, I think when it comes to building relationships, humans like are very much needed. So every time someone signs up on our website today, we actually do an onboarding call with them to build trust, right? It's like a 15-minute onboarding call just to tell you that there are humans here. It's not an AI company that's doing everything, right? We actually care about you, care about your success, and we're there just like a tap away. Similarly, when building relationship with banks, right? Like I speak to a lot of loan officers, and talking to them requires a lot of like trust on like who is this approval AI? Why are they sending like these applications to me? And is there someone behind it, right? I think building that partnership and relationship over coffee, nothing can replace that, right? Similarly with design, like if you look at a lot of like design, you look at a lot of like websites today, they look very templatized. They feel like it was built by AI, and we actually have a human, like I sit and design a lot of stuff, or sometimes we will contract it. But in most cases, there's a lot of like human touch to create like look and feel of the product that's a lot more playful and fun.
And so you yourself, like, which products are you using? Are you using anything for like, product management, or it just like you purely like focus on like ChatGPT and I don't know, maybe a cloud?
Yeah, yeah, totally. In terms of just products wise, like yes, ChatGPT is probably the most used AI product for us. In terms of because the code and the technical side of things, we use LangGraph, we use Claude Code, we use Versal's AI SDK. We also train our own models to respond to home buyers in a certain manner that we like. So we have a lot of like these things, but in terms of tools that are out there, I would say my most used tool is ChatGPT because of the versatility of like how you can just tweak it into different things you want it to do.
Is there anything that you've been like that you found for product management, like for writing PRDs, for example, that has lived up to its hype or potential?
PRDs was probably more of a Google thing. When I was there, was to write a lot of detailed PRDs. Right now, it's very much like, here's an idea. Let me like create a prototype about it, and then show it to my co-founder. And next day, it's built and launched. Right? Like, there was not a lot of time spent like flushing out like a PRD with everything. It's a lot like let's try a lot of different things and spend the time actually experimenting and prototyping. And so for that, like we use definitely use Vercel v0 to like come up with like prototypes really quickly. Obviously, the cursor and all the other like cloud code, another one like to generate code very quickly and like test it. But the best way to do it is like a customer asks us for something over email, and the next day we just like ship a product, being like, maybe this will help you, and we see how they like behave with that.
Got it. Sounds good. So, I mean, as I understand, like you're tackling a $2 trillion industry. How do you like? What's your go-to market like secret, or just like at least like a high-level overview? Like, are you targeting Gen Z, just like anybody? Like, like what's your vision there?
I think we're targeting people who are in a similar, who are buying like their first home or in a similar age range as us, right? In the late 20s, early 30s. They are tech savvy. They are open to using AI tools to automate a lot of the work and will take the savings for it. It's a very much a product we wish we used, right? We wished existed when we were buying our homes. And I think we noticed that there's a lot of just content missing for helping you figure out which lender is giving the best deal. Right? There is very generic stuff written out there, and I think podcasts and like video content that walks you through a lot of this stuff that is engaging and not boring is something that we're trying to crack. And we're also testing a bunch of other distribution channels to help us like really scale this out as we grow over time.
Got it. So, I mean, to your point, I mean, can you tell me like why should I use your product versus like going the traditional way and working with a loan officer?
I think the biggest unlock is how much the convenience, right? Like, it is convenience paired with savings, right? So we're very simple. Like, you come here, you fill out one application, never have to deal with a bank, right? Versus you can do all of this stuff with a loan officer. The other aspect is actually incentives, right? So the loan officer's incentive is to sell you on why they are the best bank, right? That you should deal with. Our incentive is to get you the best deal. It doesn't matter which bank you go with. So we're very aligned to making sure that you get a lender that you are happy with and you can close with, versus the loan officer will sell you on like why they are the best one and why you should consider working with them. Even though their rates might be higher, they offer superior customer service, is how they will put it, right? I just think like that is one argument to make, but you should do your due diligence and talk to a bunch of other loan officers.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know how much you like. I feel like Redfin, like they tried to turn to technology, and it seems like I don't know, they had their run, but it didn't do
Yeah.
too well. Do you think you might experience same problems using, or you might run into some of the same problems they ran into?
We need to like extrapolate a little bit on like the market Redfin was in. It was very much trying to automate a lot of like the real estate brokerages side of business. I think when it comes to real estate agents are actually quite important where they work with like a home buyer on a day-to-day basis, help you find like the right they actually are like a little bit like therapists as well. They like calm you down and they point out things about a house that like you would have missed, right? I think that job is much, much harder to automate versus when it comes to capital, right? And we're giving you a mortgage, it's very black and white. The numbers are in front of you. You can choose one or the other. You just need to have confidence that this lender can come through with the mortgage, and we can help you kind of give you that like rating and confidence that this lender is trustworthy enough, right? So we think like mortgage is a lot easier to automate than like something like a real estate agent's, because their work is actually valuable and very unquantifiable on like the impact it has on like customers' experience.
I mean, would you say like would you guys partner with real estate agents? Just curious, or
Of
like is
course,
that not
of course.
okay? Got
Of
it.
course, of course. I think the question is like whether real estate agents would be open to working with us
Yeah.
if we do the best deal for home buyers, right? Like technically they
Mhm.
should.
And why wouldn't
I
they?
think the big one is trust, right? Like they have built relationships with loan officers over a decade that they trust. And they know that, Jake at Wells Fargo always comes through on time. Versus with approval AI, they don't know which loan officer will get paired, right? And whether that loan officer will come in on time or not, right? And their earnings are very dependent on the mortgage coming through because they get 3% of it, right? So they are incentivized to, I would say, stick with what's already working, but I would almost encourage them to think what's best for the home buyer as well.
Got it. So would you say like the approval by human agents or like by human officers is higher than your product? Just curious.
Well, we connect you to humans as well. We are actually the marketplace that just handles all the interaction with different humans. The question is whether a real estate agent will trust working with a new human they have never worked with before.
Just curious, like what made you, like this is the idea versus like anything else that you've had? I mean, was there anything else that you were maybe like passionate about pursuing that you decided to put on pause and pursue, this idea instead? Is there anything else that was interesting to you in the AI space?
Yeah, great question. I think there were a lot of ideas that we were playing with. The one that I think we always gravitated towards a lot, like Helly and I both went through the home buying journey, found it to be messy. And so every time we looked at a different idea, it looked like interesting from like the outside. But then as soon as you dive deep, you're like, oh, this too messy, right? And we don't feel passionate enough to solve it. But when it came to home buying, we're like, we went through the experience. It was really painful. We wish it was much better. And it feels like someone should be doing this. And the question was like, why can't we be the ones doing it? And so we started playing with a bunch of ideas in the real estate space. And then after doing dozens of homebuyer interviews, right? And we came across this like aha moment, right? Like the stat which said 50% of homebuyers don't shop for a mortgage, even though it could save them tens of thousands of dollars. Right. And we're like, wait, why are people leaving money on the table? That seems really stupid. And then we did a lot of home buyer interviews to understand that. And it was very much like it's inconvenient to talk to banks. They don't know that how to negotiate with like lenders. They have incorrect assumptions that like they think they have the best deal, but they don't. Right. And we knew all this is true because we went through the same experience, right? And we wish we were smarter because we would have saved a ton of money.
Interesting. What is like one mistake that you maybe made early on when you first started that you would have done differently now, given the fact that it's kind of like a new industry for you going from, YouTube, Google to this?
Yeah, is this a mistake like when we started the company?
Yeah, I mean like mistake or something that yeah, you would have done differently today if you were to start the company over again. Like is there, maybe a different, some things you would approach differently?
Yeah, I think this is like a Google habit that probably I built working there for 4 years was I spent a lot of time doing research. And I was doing a lot of research and reading a lot of stuff. And I spent like weeks just trying to understand things from the internet and asking ChatGPT a lot of stuff. And I felt like I understood it. And then I went and spoke to home buyers and spoke to like real estate agents. And I was like, wait, like this is not matching what I have built in my mind. And so learning is very much like just go build prototypes and show it to real people and don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call. I think I was very scared of that because I was like, oh, it needs to be good before I talk to a human being. But in fact, wish I started there and been like, hey, I don't know anything about the space. Please educate me. Would have been a much better way to approach it than trying to come like, I know a lot because I like studied, and I actually don't know anything.
Got it. And so how did you like, I mean, you mentioned were you doing cold calls, like just picking up the phone and calling home buyers, or like who were you calling?
I was calling real estate agents because their numbers are online, right? You just like pick up their phone, call, and be like, "Hey, I am from Approval AI. We're building this thing. Are you interested in learning more? We would help your home buyer save like at least a few $1,000s on their mortgage." And go to open houses and just talk to real estate agents there, right? Like just take cookies for them and like have like try to have like a dialogue there and get feedback on the product. And you get rejected a lot, and that's like part of the process, but you kind of just have to keep going until someone gets excited about what you're building.
Got it. I mean, like, did you find like, because it's like it seems like there's so many people that are kind of like anti-technology, especially like anti-AI. Like, did you feel a lot of
Absolutely.
pushback from real estate
Of
agents?
course.
Yeah.
Of course, of course. There's like a whole class, I would say, of like not just real estate agents, but in every industry, right? Like people are threatened by their jobs being taken away from AI, and if they don't understand that space really well or understand the technology, they always go on the defensive and tell you why it cannot be done. Um, I think the better approach is to be more open-minded on like, okay, this thing is clearly coming. How can I get ahead of it and pick up the tools that will make me more efficient? Because at the end of the day, like people will trust other people first versus just an AI. And so if you're in a real estate agent that adopts a lot of these tools, it's better for you, or even like a mortgage broker, whoever, and make yourself 10x more productive before the competition does, right?
What are the top three reasons that the real estate agents told you that this is not going to work?
I think the big one was their perception on like home buyers would not use it. They were like, oh, like home buyers just want the house closed. They don't care from where the rate comes from, and they want to go with like a lender that they trust. Which I can see why they would say that. But if I give you two banks and I tell you, David, like this bank will give you $10,000 cheaper mortgage or $20,000 cheaper mortgage, you'd definitely be like, I'm interested. I want to like learn more about that, right? So I think that was one. The second one, I think from a real estate agent perspective was most these new lenders will not be able to close on time because they're not operated in this market, right? So there's a closing timeline every time you sign a document, and you're like, okay, I purchased this property, I have 30 days to close, and they're like concerned that the lenders will not come through. But if you think about the lender, they also want the deal to be done, right? They want to also close a customer. So if they say they can do it in 30 days, in most cases they come through, right? So that's also part of like our service. We make sure like they can deliver that kind of quality. I think that one, those are the two big ones I can think of right now.
And so, I mean, essentially, would you say this like almost like a two-sided marketplace because you have the buyers on one side and the lenders on the other, or it doesn't work
Correct.
that way?
Correct. It's a two-sided marketplace. We almost like to think of it as like if you think about in the earlier days, we had stockbrokers that you had to call someone and be like, I want to buy X stock, Y stock, right? And so that has been automated away with Robinhood now, right? Because it's not a very complex transaction. With mortgages, it's a very complex transaction, right? You need a human to like actually be involved in this. But with AI, we actually think a lot of high complex transactions can be automated away as well. And so you can today almost not need to have like a middleman involved to get a mortgage approved.
And so, how do you keep, like the data safe and accurate, given the fact that, I mean, like, it's like it'd be a little bit hard to trust. Like, I agree. Like, it'd be a little bit hard to just trust AI to sign off on like a $2-3 million loan, right? Like, how do you keep things in check so that mistakes don't happen? Have you had occurrences where AI agents go off the rails or whatever and make mistakes?
Yeah,
Like, how do you, yeah, how do you, make sure that this doesn't ruin someone's, I don't know,
of
home buying
course.
experience?
Of course. It's one of the reasons why like we touch on humans being part of the entire process, right? Um, I would say from in the entire transaction today, probably 60 to 70% of it is like automated. And a lot of it has like human reviews and touch points. We obviously encrypt a lot of the data and stuff like that, but when it comes to whenever the AI is talking to a lender and is quoting like a buyer's financials or anything, we verify that all of this is like human verification that this is actually accurate. When the agent is giving information to buyer and educating them, right? Like the big risk here is the AI agent gives advice without having full context on the financial profile of a home buyer. So we verify like what kind of advice is it giving out, right? So a lot of the human review involved, and once all of it is done, it actually goes through human underwriters as well, right? Like the bank will process it. And it will tell us you missed this or you missed that, and that way we improve the model on catching a lot of these nuances. So there's actually a lot of human touch involved still in the whole process, but the path to automation is very clear.
Besides this idea, like, is there any other ideas, especially like in real estate, that popped up that you think AI could be helpful with, or something that maybe you thought about pursuing but didn't because this one just made more sense to you?
Yeah, a big one that we found very interesting was home inspection. Today, you have a lot of home inspection reports that come out, and you have humans going into homes, kind of putting together a really long report for the bank to approve a mortgage, right? They have to be like, these are the problems with the home, and this is something that you should know. Like as a home buyer, you're supposed to do this. And this report takes a lot of time to build. And so we think a lot of AI can be used there. We actually thought of a lot of ideas on how we can use AI to do a lot of this stuff. And we realized like it's an interesting space and interesting problem, but we were just more passionate about mortgages, so we stuck to mortgages. But there's a company that in our YC batch that actually tackling this problem. It's called ValueMate, and they've been doing really well. So it's nice to see like this idea being tackled by someone.
What is like one advice you'd give yourself if, you're starting over with this company like today?
I think the advice would be very much more action, less thinking. It's a start creating prototypes, start talking to people, start getting feedback, improve the feedback loop really quickly, and that will help you get right on track. And then the other one is follow your intuition. I think I was looking for a lot of data to like justify my decision on doing X or Y path, because that's how you're trained at Google. Like you need to look at data. But so much of the startup land is intuition driven. It's just like I just feel like this is the right thing. And you just have to take the plunge, do it, and then see what happens.
Got it. And how was your YC experience? Like, would you say it's worth it?
Well, I loved my YC experience. I think it was, I wouldn't say it was fun. I would say it was very painful. I think I was being stretched to the limit where, like, every few weeks I had to deliver almost the impossible, right? Like, Helly and I have done a lot of sleepless nights trying to, like, put together launch videos, launch demos and stuff like that, and serving real customers for the first time. So it was high stakes for us. But I think YC pushed us in all the right ways. And I don't think we would be where we are without YC today.
Got it. Like, what is like maybe like one example of something that you've changed ever since you went through the YC program that has the biggest impact on your founder journey?
I think the biggest one was how much tweaking we had to do with messaging. Like we thought we have a very clear idea of like what we were building, but every time we launched, David, like there was a change in how we position and message ourselves, and we started realizing some messages resonate more than other ones, and trying to define the brand and the tone of the brand. Was something that I think we are playing a lot more with than we did earlier. Like we were initially very headstrong on what we wanted it to be. And now we're like, wait, but let's like change the messaging and see how it resonates now, right? Maybe this clicks more with home buyers than this type of thing. Because we are obviously in this idea all day long, but to explain it to someone in 30 seconds, like we need to really nail that pitch.
Which one is like the hardest for you guys right now? Like, is it the supply side, which is the lenders, or is it like, finding the actual, the buyers who, want to get a loan? Like, which part are you guys struggling with more?
Yeah, it's definitely the buyer side, right? Actually, the if I go tell a bank I will get you customers, they will happily be on the product, right? So the lender side is not the problem. It's actually very easy to scale that, relatively easy to scale that. The buyer side is convincing someone on why they should come to us. Versus go with their like local loan officer, I think is like a trickier problem, and we also require a lot more data to give you like the magical experience. And so we're trying to find innovative ways to get them on board with us, and build this Amazon of mortgages is kind of the pitch here.
Like, what are some of the best lessons that you've learned, say, at Google that are helping you with your current, founder experience and the journey you're on?
Totally. I'll answer this in two parts. One is give you the pros and the cons. So what has been helpful and what are like blind spots coming out of Google as well. So in terms of what's been helpful is I think Google has a very, very high bar for product quality, which has been amazing for us. Like building consumer products at Google, everything is very polished. Every pixel is thought through like 100 times. Like I have, if you go to hotels.google.com, I have spent at least like 6 months iterating on the way the cards show up there, and what is in those like cards and stuff. And it's done like so much experimentation there, right? So everything needs to make sense. Every pixel needs to make sense. And that's something that has carried very well into our product. And we look much bigger than we actually are because of that. So I think that's a big thing that's like a transferable skill, I would say. The second one is thinking holistically, right? Like we at Google are kind of forced to think very deeply about a problem. We have to think about all the incentives involved, think of the entire flywheel, think about competition, business model, and the different risks, right? And I think that really helped me as I was putting together like why I want to do this and how we thought of the business overall. And I just felt like the depth of thinking was much, much deeper than I would say a lot of like the other companies I was like seeing at YC. And I was like, okay, this is great. Like we think a lot more holistically, but we're slower because of that. Right. And so there was like a little bit of the trade-off there. And so I think those two were like really, really good qualities that we picked up. And I think in terms of blind spots, the big one for me was thinking about distribution, right? Like there are a lot of conventional ways of getting customers, which at Google you have the privilege to not think about. You just get traffic because people visit YouTube.com all the time. And so I think the people that went through the pain of getting customers have gone on and are doing better things now. And we never felt that pain because they did all the groundwork back in the early 2000s, late 2000s, right? And so that is something new to me, and I'm just like learning how to build a lot of distribution.
Got it. I mean, it seems like, oftentimes like I think that could be a problem coming from a big company. Like they have the traffic. There you're like optimizing small things to, like that could make big differences for a company because they have so much traffic. Here as a
That's right.
startup, like you're just trying to get your first like, 10 or 100 customers in the door. How do you balance between like optimization and just like, like focusing on how to get your early users? Like what, where do you draw the line?
Started off like a founder mistake where like 80% was optimization, 20% was like getting customers through the door. Now it's very much 50-50, right? It's like 50% of the time you're just like get more customers, and then 50% of the time is improve the product. Because if you have no customers, there's nothing to optimize for, right? Um, and so we're like very much like, okay, we have to build a lot of like content, a lot of media, get a lot of customers and see what works and what messaging works, which is why messaging is so important to us. And then we can tweak the product accordingly. Because if no one's using the product, there's no point fixing the bugs in the product.
And so, like, we're talking about one-click mortgage. That's a bold vision. Like, what does success look like in a year or two from now? Like, how many users do you want to help, or home buyers do you want to help? Like, what would define success for you guys in a year?
Yeah, we are very much aligned on user success. So we want users to get a mortgage that an experience that they're happy with. So our metrics very much are like funded loan volume, right? Like how many loans have we funded over the next year or 2 years, right? That is like think of it like GMV, right? Like that's sort of like a North Star. And then we look at the customer satisfaction, right? So CSAT scores, NPS scores. And as we also save a lot of money, we also want to look at average savings per loan, right? So those are like very key metrics for us. We are also very closely tracking the application to close conversion rate. So if you start the application, do you actually close within the next like few weeks or months? And then on the lender side of the marketplace, we actually look very carefully on the average pre-approval approval time, like average close time. How quickly are they moving, right? And we measure lender satisfaction rate as well.
Sounds interesting. Any like, do you guys have any plans on focusing on entrepreneurs? I know Meow. I don't know if you know the company called Meow. I think they help entrepreneurs get mortgages. Is that something that you've looked into by any chance? Just curious.
Yeah, we have because we're part of the YC network, we've already helped some startup founders get mortgages. So we know that that is an interesting market as well. And usually startup founders have a very different, unconventional like financial profile because so much of the assets are tied to the company that is illiquid. And so traditional banks might not approve them for mortgages. And so finding different kind of lenders for them is something that we have already started doing. And so we're seeing it starting to click a little bit.
Sounds good. And so you have a small team right now. You're 50% of the team, as you mentioned. At what point are you looking to scale? And at what point are you looking to kind of like leverage more AI agents? Like, and how do you decide between the two things?
Yeah, when it comes to scale, I think we'll naturally hit a point where we both can't be doing as much as we are, right? And we have maxed out our AI agents. We just think like there's more human in the loop required now to even manage our own set of AI agents. What's interesting is I think we will need the hires we will make are going to be very different from the pre-AI era, right? Like traditionally, the first hire you would do is like an engineer. We actually think like we don't need an engineer. Our first hire is probably going to be a designer, right? It's probably going to be a marketing person, right? Those are the kind of hires we will be making, and much later kind of go after and like make these engineering hires.
Speaking of that, like I mean, you've kind of lived through the shift, right? You were here working as a PM pre-LLM era, and now you're building a startup in the ChatGPT era, so to say. How has like the role of a product manager changed in AI era? Would you say like what are some of the things that you're seeing out there?
I think product managers can do a lot more now, right? Because of all the tools available. But what has not changed is that they're still responsible for coming up with the insights. I think it's very, very dangerous today. I think this is like a trend I've started to notice is kind of delegating thinking to AI, right? Like you don't want to do that. Like you don't want AI to think for you. You still want to think and come up with like decisions and ask AI to challenge those like decisions and help you refine your thinking. But it gets very dangerous when you start like make giving data to AI and asking it to coming up with insights because it can make any argument sound really, really good, right? And you kind of need to be careful how much of the thinking you're delegating to AI versus doing it yourself. As a product manager, I think it's very easy to get trapped as delegating your thinking to AI, but I would almost encourage like that should remain core. But using AI to like challenge your thinking and helping you think in different ways is something that's completely okay.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I was looking at your LinkedIn. You describe yourself as someone who's obsessed with shipping insanely great products. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, it's one of those things which I don't think we've still cracked with approval AI, but insanely great to me is like just straight up magic. You come into the product, you use it, and you're like, wow, like that, I like jaw drop moment. And if you can, it takes years to come up with that kind of experience, and maybe with AI like months, but still, it'll take a long time. But if you can get to that point, I think that is like the unlock here.
Got it. And so what would that point look like for you at your current startup at Approvals?
I think a big experience that would be very magical is the one-click mortgage vision, right? Where you actually just click with one click, you see 20 different lenders that have approved you for a mortgage. And if you say, I want to move forward with Bank A, you boom, like have a mortgage approved. Today, it takes 30 days to get a mortgage approved. So if you want to move forward with a lender, a lot of these different middlemen involved that will go and like do appraisal, they'll do home inspection, they'll do all of this information. And it just delays the entire process. So if you can bring that 30-day like process into, say, 10 seconds, I think that is like insanely great.
Got it. Sounds interesting. Is there like one question that you wish I asked you that I maybe missed that, the listeners or the audience should know about?
I think the one question is like, when do you feel ready to go to a startup? Right? To me, I think it's a very much like an internal calling thing. You really have the eagerness and desire to go on this journey for the next decade. I hope not a lot of people jump into it because it's like a quick buck to make, right? Because it's not. I would say being at a big tech company is definitely financially better for you and a better lifestyle as well. But if you just can't sleep thinking about like, man, I really wish this product existed and I want to spend the next decade of my life fixing this. Like that's the mindset I wish people approach startups with, not we'll just wing it and see what happens. Because you might do that and it might work for like a few days, few weeks maybe, but it's a long, long, long grind and you have to be mentally prepared for that.
I know we're running up on time here. A lot of people in our audiences are engineers, also some product managers, and they're curious, like, how do they, stay competitive in this job market? Like, what's your advice to whether the junior candidates who are looking for their first job to senior leaders who may be looking for either a job at Google or maybe break into startups? Like, what would you advise to them today, given the fact that AI can do so much for for the right people if it's in the right hands, so to say?
Yeah, I think the big differentiator in my head is just do a lot of projects, right? Build a lot of stuff on the side. Show that you know how to use these tools and do so much because you look very resourceful when you apply to as a new grad, you're applying to a job and you're like, oh, like I built this thing, I got so many users, I grew it, and this is like technically hard to do, or it's very impressive. You solve like some of your own problems, just for fun, right? Like I think that will show a lot of initiative and resourcefulness, which is very attractive to like employers, right? I would much rather hire someone that's done like 100 different projects than someone that spent 4 years getting an undergraduate degree, right? Because they understand the tech in today's like market. So I would say show don't tell is like my advice usually in these cases. And for senior folks, I think if you can also do a lot of that work is still valuable because there's a misconception that like most people who are higher up don't understand what's happening on the ground, right, with these tools.
Yeah, sounds on point. Arjun, is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, in that case, I want to thank you for coming on the show. This was probably my first B2C kind of like a talk, so I had to make some
Nice.
adjustments, but I learned a lot.
Awesome.
So I'll be more prepared for the next one if the next one comes. But I love what you're building. I think, I mean, I see so many interesting products popping up in the B2C area, like whether in legal or in real estate, and I think it's quite useful. So I think a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are going to be excited to probably try out your product, if especially if they're buying a house. I don't know, the interest rates seem to be high still, but but yeah, thank you for coming on the show. We'll get this out there, and then what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
On LinkedIn is probably the best way.
LinkedIn. All right, perfect. Well,
Great.
that sounds good, Arjun. We'll get this chopped up, and we'll get this published, and
Awesome.
hopefully we'll see you grow and take this company to the next stage.
Amazing. Thank you, David. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.